How do you decide about the causes? I read that you said a singer is someone with a hole in his heart as big as his ego. First, where does the hole come from?
Another reason why we can't put artists on a dais, or no, why we can't put them on a pedestal, is because we become artists usually as an attempt to fill a void. You know, some hole in our heart, some ache, because, you know, you don't really start writing songs or painting pictures or, you know, films or poetry unless there's something missing from you. And so that's what I was trying to get at.
Are you aware of what that is for you?
I think it's changed over the while. When I was younger, I was just I didn't understand where perhaps my rage came from. And, but now I do. But now I have rage for the right reasons, you know. And I think the thing that offends me and makes me angrier than anything in the world is the squandering of human potential, and including my own. I think that love, if we had to define it, is the realizing of potential in others and indeed in yourself. And that's it for me. So whether it's in your band, wanting everyone to achieve their absolute best, or your marriage or your kids, but you never see human potential more squandered than in the dire despair of poverty and extreme poverty, and to realize, and I've said this before, but I hope it's still not a cliche, that where you live can never decide whether you live.
When did you become a warrior for justice around human potential and experience this extreme poverty? How old were you when this happened?
There's a few things probably came together. On stage in Dublin a few weeks ago, I apologized to my father. He's passed away 10 years. But I felt it was the right thing to do. And I've been fighting with him a lot when I was younger. And though we made peace before he died, I didn't really give credit enough to how difficult it must have been for him dealing with someone like me. Can you imagine? And I was like this at 12. And, but my father did have a sense of justice. And I remember him say on the Troubles in Ireland, you know, everyone would get very worked up about the Troubles. And he would quote, he would say, "What is Ireland but the place that keeps my feet from getting wet?" And I was like, whoa. And he was suspicious of nationalism. He saw nationalism as different from patriotism, which it is.
Right.
Be careful of it.
So let's get practical then, because you didn't dream it, you did it. You co-created both One and Red. In the elevator version, the simple version, what are those two organizations? What do they do?
Okay.
How you envision them?
Whatever you feel about the NRA, and I don't like them very much, they're a very, very well-organized group. And we want One to be the NRA for the world's poor. So the One campaign, if you're getting in the way of legislation that will make lives easier for the world's most vulnerable populations, we're going to find out where you live. We're going to camp outside your office. And we've 10 million members. 3 million of them in Africa now. It will eventually be more. We'll have more members south of the equator than we have north of the equator. So the idea of being the NRA for the world's poor meant that, again, it's not just holding hands.
No.
If you do left and right, we're totally bipartisan.
Right. You say you're
Yeah.
not cloaked in any party.
No. Even though, you know, I came from the left. My family's from the left. My dad is from the left. But I just thought that it's very important that we understand the people in our life that stand across from us. We need to, there's a book, I don't know who wrote it, called I Have Met the Enemy, and they are partly right. And I think we can really learn from each other. And Irish people are very wary of demonizing the other. I think largely because we were the other. But the other is really just the person you haven't got to know yet. Capitalism is not immoral, but it is amoral. And it requires our instruction. It's a wild beast. And we need to put it on a chain. It needs to know who's boss. Because if it becomes the boss,
we have problems.
We're going to have, that's what's happened. In some degree, that's what's happened.
And you're not a capitalist basher by any stretch.
No, I'm
believe in the system.
I'm so excited about commerce and innovation, and I think it just has to be just reimagined, retooled. That's what this moment could be. That's the excitement about this moment, is that we hope that this is such a deep shock to people. What's happening in your country and what's happening in Europe, that people will actually just rethink and just sometimes takes a moment.
So you came here, you were very kind to be here for Chicago and to have us all learn from you and hear from you. But I have to ask you, from your vantage point, what do you hope, want, and expect from an audience like this? What should this audience be doing?
I think I'm very humbled, honestly, that such a room full of such clever people would be so kind to me. I'm very, the band, U2, has a very special thing going on with this city, always had. And it's a strong feeling. And I wouldn't dare to suggest what this room should or shouldn't do. But, we need more red companies. In one, we really need some financial firepower. It's just be America. America's an extraordinary thing. You're an extraordinary country. And I am your biggest fan, and sometimes that you allow me to be a critic is a great honor.
What have you learned from the band?
From the band? You're as good as the arguments you get.
From the fans?
You work for them.
From children in Africa?
That where you live should not decide whether you live.
From your own children?
To shut up.
From America?
To never shut up.